Hey guys, I'm Yair Cohen, VP of Product and co-founder at Sentra. I'd love to start with some product updates. On this slide, I want to zoom in on how we're helping you adopt Gen AI safely without slowing the business down. What we're seeing across our customers today is that AI is no longer a side project. It's copilots, agents, and LLM apps popping up across Microsoft 365, AWS, Databricks, and beyond. The real risk isn't just the models themselves. It's that no one has a clean answer to three basic questions. What AI assets do we actually have? What data do they touch? And are they using the data in a way that would pass an audit? So the first set of Q2 investments we're doing is about turning that chaos into an understandable, governable surface. We now give you a unified AI asset inventory, agents, models, and endpoints with owners and environments in one place, instead of being scattered across different consoles. On top of that, we map data lineage into AI. For each agent, we show which knowledge bases and data stores it relies on and roll up the sensitive data classes and business context to the AI asset itself. So the context is what lets you govern data use in AI. You can start to say, these are the classes of data we're comfortable using for copilots and agents. These are the ones that must never be touched. And we'll flag high-risk agents before they roll out broadly, instead of after something is leaked. So this is the first concrete step towards our broader 2026 AI readiness vision, treating AI assets like any other sensitive data stores with inventory, lineage, posture, and policy. So security risk and data teams can embrace AI with confidence, no fear. Next, I want to talk about the other side of modern data, the part that isn't in the cloud at all. Almost every large enterprise we work with still has critical regulated data sitting on file shares and databases in their own data centers, often the riskiest and least visible part of the estate. Historically, you had two bad choices. Either ignore it in favor of cloud-first tools, or try to move that or mirror that data into the cloud just so you can secure it, which is usually a non-starter for compliance and operations. So our Q2 work here is about giving you end-to-end hybrid visibility without forcing data to move. We've introduced in Q1 local on-premise scanners that run in your environment, scan file shares and data stores where they live, and send us only the metadata and classifications. That means you get the same discovery, AI-powered classification, sensitivity mapping, and posture analytics you're used to in cloud and SaaS. But your data never leaves your data center either. All of that feeds into a single map across on-prem, cloud, and SaaS, so security teams can finally reason about all sensitive data everywhere, instead of managing separate point solutions for each island. And we focused on easy secure deployments with lightweight collectors, quick rollout, and alignment with enterprise network and security requirements. So this is something you can actually put into production, not just talk about in a POC. So you'll see in a demo soon how this hybrid coverage underpins multiple 2026 use cases, from compliance reporting to cyber resilience and data detection and response, to reducing data sprawl in those legacy environments. And finally, I want to connect these investments back to how you enforce policy, especially if you already have DLP or SSC tools in place. Most of you are not looking to rip and replace your existing DLP stack. The real pain is that enforcement agents, whether it's Microsoft Purview, Google DLP, SASE or CASB or email endpoint DLP, are only as good as the labels and context they see. So if data isn't classified accurately and consistently, those policies either never trigger or they trigger everywhere and create noise. Central's role is to be the data security and classification brain that makes those existing tools actually smart. In Q2, we doubled down on cross-platform auto-labeling, automatically applying MPIP labels in M365 and Google sensitivity labels in Google Drive, and native tags across cloud data platforms, and key SaaS apps based on our high accuracy discovery and classification. Those labels then become the control plane for everything downstream: email DLP, endpoint and web proxies, SaaS DLP, even AI and copilot controls that decide which data can be surfaced in responses. Instead of authoring hundreds of brittle regex rules, you're keying policies of rich business context, HR compensation documents, customer financial statements, high sensitivity intellectual property, and so on. Strategically, this is how we move from DSPM plus alerts to cloud-native DLP and automated remediation at scale. Sentra discovers and understands the data, stamps it with the right labels, and your existing enforcement stack, plus our own remediation, ensures that data is only used, shared, and accessed in ways that match its true sensitivity. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Gilad from Sentra Product Team, and I'm going to talk today about the Google Drive labels integration. If your organization stores sensitive data in Google Drive, and most do, this feature is going to save your team a lot of manual work and close some real security gaps. Here is a problem we hear constantly. Security teams know they have sensitive data sitting in Google Drive. Contract, health record, customer PII, but it's untagged, ungoverned, and invisible to their DLP and access policies. Sentra continuously scans and classifies your data across your environment. Now, the moment Sentra identifies a sensitive file in Google Drive, it automatically applies the right Google Drive label. No manual review, no scripts, no delays. Why does that matter? For three reasons. First, your security policies finally have something to act on. Drive labels are enforcement triggers. The moment file gets labeled, your DLP rules, sharing restrictions, and access controls kick in automatically. Second, when regulators ask for evidence that sensitive data is identified and controlled, you have continuous auditable trail, not a point-in-time snapshot. And third, as your team starts feeding Drive content into AI workflows and copilots, Sentra makes sure only properly governed data makes it in. That's not a nice to have anymore. Setting up takes just a few minutes. Inside Sentra, go to Integrations and connect your Google Workspace. Then, head to the Automation page and create a new rule. Let's say Sentra detects a file containing social security number. Then you choose which label you would like to assign for this file, let's say confidential. You can scope it by the data store as well. For example, if the name contains legal or any other criteria that you would like to have specifically for the data store. From that point, Sentra handles the rest continuously in real time as new files are discovered or existing ones are reclassified. The result? Sensitive data in Drive doesn't stay invisible. It gets found, labeled, and governed automatically and at scale.
Hi, I'm Manny from Sentra, and today I want to show you our new deployment options. So we know that many organizations have on-premise environments, And these environments, in many cases, they are highly sensitive. They contain a lot of sensitive data that cannot be scanned from outside, and they must be scanned from within the data center. So for these cases, we just released two new scanner connectors. You can now see them when you create a new connector. We offer a Kubernetes deployment and a virtual machine deployment. A virtual machine is basically a simple deployment that is more suitable for smaller environments. A Kubernetes cluster is basically for larger environments where you need to run many pods that would scan the entire environment. The installation is pretty simple. If we're talking about a VM, it's just you need to prepare the VM in advance based on the Sentra requirements and then run the script that installs it. If it's a Kubernetes cluster, either it could be an existing one or a new one dedicated specifically for Sentra. The installation uses standard Helm chart. Once you install and connect your deployment, Sentra would be able to scan your SMB file shares or NFS file shares and also databases that you keep on premise. Could be like MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, and so on. In addition to scanning and classification, which is essentially it's the same as we do for the cloud, Sentra would connect to your Active Directory and be able to map the access level of different identities to the file shares and the databases. That's it. I think that if you're interested, you can connect with our support and get more information. Thank you for listening.
Hey, I'm Sherry from Sentra, and today I want to show you how Sentra can help you securely adopt AI tools in your organization. The first thing I want to show you is our new Copilot enabled feature. So if you go to the identities page, hit more filters, and hit Copilot enabled, you can see all of the Copilot enabled users you have in your organization. You can see how sensitive the data they have access to and the data categories this data falls under. You can also see the actual data stores this users has access to. And by that, you can tighten high-risk access passes before AI amplifies them. The next thing I want to show you is Sentra support for SageMaker. So by going to our new AI and ML page, you get a detailed catalog of all of your SageMaker models that you have in your organization. You can see how sensitive the underlying training data they have is, and also the data classes this data falls under. By going into the detailed view, you can see in-depth information about this model and what the training data contains. And by going to the data tab, you can see the actual data this model was trained on. If Sentra actually supports this data source and scans it, you can click on this data source and see this actual data source in the assets or data source page. By clicking into the access tab, you can see all the users that have access to internal and external. So with this, you can actually adopt SageMaker in your organizations without worrying about data security. For more information, please contact our support. Thank you so much.